Hey everybody, Pastor Jeremy here with your devotional for this week. And we're going to title this one, Why Does Bad Things Happen to Good People? So if we ask that question, I would have to say that most of us would agree that we have seen bad stuff happen to good people. So if we look biblically back into the book of Genesis and we look at Joseph's life, Joseph was no stranger to bad things happening to good people. Joseph had dreams of what God was going to do in his life, and throughout that, he had some terrible things happen to him. He went through a stint of his brothers hating him, that nobody believed in his dream. He was sold into slavery. He was tempted by Potiphar's wife. He was accused of doing something he didn't do. He was put in prison, and he was forgot about by Pharaoh's cupbearer. So if we're looking at Joseph, Joseph was called by God to do something amazing. So we would have to say that Joseph would ultimately be a good person. But as we just listed, all those bad things happened in his life. But even though he went through a lot of terrible things, Joseph never lost faith in God. He never stopped believing that God was working in his life. And we see at the end of his story, when he's reconciled with his brothers, he says, "As far as I'm concerned, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. He brought me to the high position I have today so that I could save the lives of many people." So then the question begs to be asked, why do bad things happen? If we look at John 16:33, Jesus, if anybody we should believe when Jesus says something, he says that in this world we will, W-I-L-L, have trouble. It's not a maybe, that's not a sometimes, that is, we will run into trouble. Bad things will happen, just like they happened to Joseph. But even when we have these bad things happen in our lives, we always need to remember that God is still in control. Joseph, when he was sold into slavery, didn't freak out. He didn't start throwing a fit. He knew that God was in control. He didn't go crazy when Potiphar's wife accused him of something, because he knew that God was in control. All along, he knew that God's plan for his life would trump the bad things that were happening at the present moment. So then as we see through Joseph's life that God can take bad things and use them for good. Jesus promises he'll never leave us or forsake us. And, we see this in Joseph's life. We see all these bad things stair-stepped him into the position that God was calling him to go into, so that he could save the many lives that he ended up saving. Joseph became second in command of all of Egypt, all because he stayed faithful to God and didn't get so downtrodden when bad things happened that he gave up. And that's the key right there. Don't give up. No matter what you're going through, don't give up. No matter how bad it looks, don't give up. God's plan for your life is way more powerful and way more important than the trials and tribulations you are going through right now. So just take a moment today, and if you are going through something that seems just impossible, give it to God. And remember that God is still in control, and He has the power to be able to take these bad things and turn them into good for your life and the lives of others. So I pray that bless you. Have an amazing and wonderful day.